Let's talk about one of the most incredible paradoxes in all of biology, your immune system. I mean, it is our ultimate guardian, right? It's our own personal elite internal army. But what happens when that army gets its signals crossed? Well, you get a devastating civil war happening right inside your own body.
It is a really chilling thought, isn't it? But this isn't science fiction. For millions of people all over the world, it's a reality. When the very system that's designed to tell the difference between you and not you fails, the fallout can be anything from a chronic illness to a life-and-death emergency.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at how a key part of our immune defense is supposed to work. Then we'll dive into 3 major ways it can go wrong: when it's too weak, when it attacks our own cells, and when it goes overboard and rejects a life-saving transplant. And finally, we'll check out the tools scientists use to figure out what's what.
Okay, so to really get a handle on the failures, you first have to appreciate just how elegant this system is when it's working perfectly. Let's start with a really crucial part of our immunity that honestly doesn't get enough credit.
Meet the complement system. The best way to think about it is like a super fast security alarm. It's not just one thing. It's a whole crew of over 30 different proteins just floating around in your blood, totally silent, just waiting. Waiting for a trigger. And when one gets activated, it sets off this lightning-fast chain reaction. And check out how incredibly efficient this is. So it all starts with a trigger. Say an antibody slaps a tag on an invader. That first protein domino falls, which knocks over the next, which then activates a whole bunch more. You get this incredible amplification loop. And what's the end goal? To build something with the awesome name of the membrane attack complex. This thing is literally a molecular drill that just punches holes right into a bacterium, causing it to pop. It's elegant, and it is absolutely lethal.
But what happens when that perfectly choreographed dance has a weak link? This brings us to our first big problem: immunodeficiency.
Let's go back to our domino analogy. If you just pull one single piece out of that long line, what happens? The whole chain reaction just stops dead. Well, a genetic defect that stops your body from making one of these complement proteins does the exact same thing. The alarm never sounds, and that final attack weapon never gets built.
And this is where it gets really specific. Take a look at the top row here. If you're missing some of the proteins from the early part of the cascade, your system can't do its basic housekeeping. It fails to clean up dead cells and other immune junk, and that buildup can actually trigger autoimmune diseases like lupus. Now, look at the bottom row. If you're missing the proteins from the late part of the pathway, the guys who build that final weapon, your body is left wide open to certain bacteria, which can lead to really severe recurring infections.
All right, let's switch gears to our second malfunction, which is kind of the opposite problem. This isn't about a system that's too weak. This is about a system that's dangerously confused, leading to an all-out attack on the self.
I love this quote because it just nails it. Molecular friendly fire. The weapons are working just fine, the soldiers are ready to go, but they're aiming at the wrong targets. Your immune system completely loses its ability to tell the difference between self and invader, and it basically declares war on its own healthy tissues.
So how on earth does a friendly fire incident like this even start? Well, one of the biggest theories out there is called molecular mimicry. Just imagine a wanted criminal who happens to look exactly like an innocent civilian. Your immune system goes on high alert to fight off a virus, right? But what if parts of that virus look almost identical to some of your own proteins? In its quest to destroy the bad guy, the immune system gets confused and starts attacking your healthy cells too.
And here's a fantastic real-world example. Scientists have found that a common virus, the Coxsackie B4 virus, has protein structures that look a whole lot like an enzyme found in our pancreas. So the thinking is, when your immune system goes after this virus, it might accidentally wipe out those critical pancreatic cells in the process, and that could be a trigger for type 1 diabetes.
Now, our third malfunction isn't really a disease in the usual sense. It's actually the immune system doing its job too well, right when we desperately need it to just stand down. This is the single biggest challenge in organ transplantation.
You see, pretty much every single cell in your body has these special molecules on its surface called HLAs. The best way to think of them is like your body's official ID card. Your immune cells are trained from birth to recognize your specific ID and just leave it alone. But a transplanted kidney or a heart, that comes from someone else. It has a whole different set of ID cards. And to your immune system, that organ is basically screaming, "I am a foreign invader."
And the rejection itself can play out in a couple of different ways. On the one hand, you have direct recognition. This is fast and furious.
The new organ's own cells basically walk right up to your T cells and flash their foreign ID card, triggering a massive immediate attack. But then there's indirect recognition, which is way more subtle. Here, your own immune cells act like little detectives. They pick up fragments of the new organ and show those foreign IDs to your T cells. This path is much slower, and it often leads to a gradual, chronic rejection over months or even years.
Okay, so with all these complex ways the immune system can go haywire, how do doctors even begin to figure out what's really going on? Well, let's look at the tools they use to solve these biological mysteries.
It really is like detective work. You can't just look at someone and know what's wrong. You have to run a whole series of specialized tests to gather clues, rule out some suspects, and finally pinpoint the exact reason the immune system is failing. And here is that detective's toolkit. So if they suspect a complement deficiency, they run a CH50 test to see if that domino cascade can actually finish its run. If they're looking for signs of autoimmunity, they'll search for autoantibodies, the actual weapons of that friendly fire. And for transplants, all the detective work has to happen before the surgery. First comes HLA typing, to check those ID cards and find the best possible match. Then they do a final cross-match test, mixing donor and recipient samples in a dish. It's one last, crucial safety check to prevent a total disaster.
You know, when you take a step back and look at the whole picture, it becomes so clear. The story of our immunity isn't about raw power or strength, it's about perfect, delicate balance. Too little response, and we're left vulnerable. Too much, and we become our own worst enemy.
And that leaves us with this final, incredible thought. We are entering an age of immunotherapy. We have amazing new tools that can suppress or stimulate or even redirect the immune response. As our understanding gets deeper and deeper, you have to wonder, will we move from just treating the symptoms of this internal civil war to one day finally negotiating a perfect, lasting peace?